Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dynamic Decisions podcast, where we explore the strategies that drive successful decision making in the world of business. Why? Because we believe that the best decisions come from great conversations. I am your host, Tisha Cable, CEO of C Model Data, and today we have an incredible guest who's making waves in the music industry. Sakis is the Director of Operational Excellence at Orpheum. He has a rich background in corporate development, market research, and identifying new business opportunities. Sakis has a wealth of knowledge to share with us today, and we're super pumped about it. So, welcome to the show. I'm thrilled to have you here, Sakis. Would you tell us a little bit more about you and Orpheum and the work that you guys are doing?
Hi, Tisha. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. I really appreciate it. It's great being here. So, let me talk about my background and then we can talk about what Orpheum does. And I'm open to any question you might have. So, as you said, my name is Sakis. It's a Greek name. It's a good thing that you didn't pronounce my surname because it's a roller coaster, Triantafyllakis. That will be it.
I would love for you to share it.
Okay. So I'm working at Orpheum for the last 4 years. I initially started as leading the product growth department in order to bring our product closer to the market and define go-to-market strategies. During that period, I also did a lot of market research and ecosystem mapping for the whole music industry. And because of that, there was a stage where the company would looking for acquisition targets. And that's the stage where I transitioned into the strategy department. And I was part of the due diligence and post-merger integration team. And because I was very close to the whole acquisition and understood quite well the business that we acquired 2022, I also uh, took over the operational excellence department, which I'm currently leading, because we needed to understand and centralize all our processes and information in order to be able to understand more precisely what is working well in our company, where we can optimize processes, when we can reduce costs, and how much money we're leaving on the table in order not to leave anything. So before that, I was also part of the startup ecosystem because I really like disruption, innovation, and technology. And I think this would be a nice opportunity for us today to discuss a lot about that part, the disruption and innovation and the technological trends. So let me talk about Orpheum. So I'm pretty sure and not a lot of people will know what Orpheum is doing. So we're basically one of the leaders in the music copyright industry. So our customers are copyright owners like music publishers and record labels. Luckily, because we're doing a really good job, we have a lot of the major players in the music business, mainly in the US market, obviously, but also in other parts of the world. So the company started back in 2015. And initially, we had a different product. It was more like a SoundCloud competitor. So we were a music streaming platform. But eventually, Rob Wells, our CEO, joined the company, and was he was the one that transitioned the company from a B2C streaming platform into a B2B copyright management solutions company. Back then, in 2017, when Rob joined, we were around 12 people. Now, we're almost 700 in various parts of the world. And what we do is basically we help our customers, which I already mentioned are copyright owners, to find their music that is being played in digital platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Meta. We do that through various ways, either through our catalog management services or through manual claiming. And as I mentioned earlier, we acquired a company back in 2022, 23. It's doing more or less the similar thing, but in the TV, radio, and film industry. So what we want to do is basically know exactly when music is being played and if that music is of one of our customers, and we want to make sure that they get paid and their royalties are claimed on their behalf.
This seems like super, super important piece of work for the folks who are creators, for example. Is that
Exactly.
a good assessment? Yeah. So could you tell me, give me a good idea on what you believe the most critical element for companies like Orpheum to successfully identify and scale new business opportunities in this space today? So based on all the fast moving parts and the sort of changes in the music industry, how does one think about scale?
Okay, that's interesting because the music business is a very niche market. You have to be really knowledgeable. And I think this is what differentiates us from our competitors. It's not only the music expertise we have within our company, but at the same time, our tech expertise. So in most companies, you will either find one of the two. So either they're like music professionals, they know exactly what are the problems of the industry, but they're lacking in their tech expertise, so their product cannot deliver exactly what they want to do. Or it's the other way around. So there are tech people that really know how technology works, and they're trying to implement a solution in the music industry, but obviously because it's quite complicated. You need to know a lot of people within the industry in order for them to trust you. Hit the they hit a wall basically, and they're not able to provide this solution to the market and have traction. So back in 2017, when Rob joined the company, and from a B2C streaming platform, we became basically a B2B copyright management and monetization solution for the record labels and music publishers. It was because we knew what were the problems, but at the same time could deliver exactly a solution that would benefit them. So also very important to our capturing our market share was because we basically used a business model that was commission based. So that gave at least our customers the benefit. Like if we actually perform really well, we would unlock missing royalties for them because that money that we claimed on their behalf, they couldn't identify that video was playing my music work, and so I need to claim that and get the royalties that I deserve. So basically, the more videos we could claim and the more money we could get on behalf of our customers, the more money would be left for us through our revenue share model.
This is good. Let me just tell the audience, I want you guys, there's a couple of things that I thought were super helpful here. One was the idea that within an organization you can have domain expertise and tech expertise. I think it's a great idea to evaluate in your company, what do you have? You have domain expertise or tech expertise, or do you have a balance of both? It sounds like Sakis is saying one of their advantages in the market is that they have a mixture of both. And so I'd imagine that that's a good one, a good unique
Good
identifier.
combination, I would
Yeah, a
say.
good combination for companies to have. So there you go. There's one tip for you already is balancing your domain expertise with your tech expertise. Let's transition a little bit. And I want to talk about what some of your frameworks are for evaluating new business initiatives, sort of making decisions when you don't have all the information that you need. How do you go about doing that?
That's a good question. So basically, I won't pretend that we do everything perfect. I think, especially in our early days, we took a lot of risks and we experimented a lot. But I would suggest that whatever framework anybody is using, the most important thing is to basically set a target. So, what do you want to accomplish? Define what success looks like, right? Okay, so if we hit like 60% of our target, or 80% of our target, or 90% of our target, then this is a successful experiment, and have fast delivery and iteration, because this can be a really important factor for success or not. Being able to iterate again and again is one of the most important success criteria, at least for Orpheum. So in the past, we took a lot of risks, especially when we were an early stage startup. It was part of our mandate. Like we would either make it or not. So we had to take the risks. We had to understand what the end result should look like. And despite the fact that we knew how the industry worked and we had a first idea of basically being a streaming DSP platform in order to compensate the right owners as quick as possible and as transparent as possible, we realized that this was not an issue only for the small independent artists. It was also the same thing, the same problem that even majors were handling. So that was part of why we transitioned from a B2C streaming platform and focusing on low tier value customers because they don't have money in order to spend a lot of money for any solution and move into a smaller segment, which is like, let's say, the enterprise customers that obviously had more money to spend. And by also transitioning into the revenue share model that I mentioned earlier, that would mean that we would also get a bigger part of the share. Another thing that I would also like to mention, and it's also in combination with your previous question around how you can scale, because having a lot of small customers versus having a few big customers also has its challenges. So part of what we do for the manual claiming is basically having technology, our algorithms, AI, understand if a music that is owned by one of our customers is being played in a video that has the potential to become viral and have a lot of views and at the same time generate a lot of money. So we have algorithms that can predict virality. We have AI technology to understand when a music is similar to the one that we have, because a lot of the music out there can be, let's say, manipulated, either speed up or slow it down a bit or add some sound effects so it won't get picked up by the algorithm of YouTube. But that's why we also have human in the loop. All right. So we have music copyright specialists that really understand, music composition, sounds, and they get let's say, the pre-filtered, the pre-sorted results from our technology and our algorithms. And then they have to verify if this is true or not, because there's a certain amount of trust there. So, for example, it might be 95% or 96% or 98%. If it's over 99%, 98%, then most probably it will get automatically uh, claimed. But for anything less than that, we need to be sure that we basically claim the right song, because YouTube also might have some penalties for us or for our customers, because we might be using our customers, let's say, content ID. So we need to be very careful because, as you can understand, this is a very important revenue stream for our customers and we cannot mess up with it. So any mistakes can cause a lot of problem to them and obviously to us.
Let me recap a couple of things that I think were super awesome. So one is the age-old set a target. Then the second is the thing that people often forget, which is you need to define success on that target. And then you have fast delivery and iteration. I thought that was a super powerful point for people, because a lot of times we try to get things right and make it perfect. But here you're saying deliver something fast and then iterate on it, especially with feedback, right, from your customers. That would actually make it even better. So take the risks, but understand the outcomes. Be able to look at what you're expecting on the flip side, and then being fast and transparent. So there were these combinations of fast and transparent, fast and iterate, fast and go ahead and accept the risk, but know the outcome. These are really good nuggets that I think anyone who's trying to think about how do I decide what to do to achieve my goals will be able to connect with. And then you kind of talk about the human in the loop. Let's stay there. stay at the human in the loop for just a moment. How do you make sure that the insights that you gain while doing the work you're doing are preserved and leveraged, especially in an industry like the music industry as it's evolving? How do you make sure you're preserving knowledge so that you can keep the human in the loop?
Yes, well, this is a very complicated question because now with the evolution of AI and with the new LLMs and AI agents, it's quite interesting to see how this will have an impact in various industries, not only in the music industry. So I'll give you some examples on how we're doing it now and how this might be different in a few months or a couple of years. So, as I mentioned earlier, for example, a specific service that we're offering, which is the claiming service, we do include a human in the loop because we need to make sure that, you know, there's an actual human being listening to the music and understand and decide whether this is something that we need to claim or not. Obviously, we do have for every single music copyright specialist a report, a daily report, and that's also aggregated with all the other music copyright specialists that are based in various parts of the world, starting from the US up to Sri Lanka or Japan, for example. And then we try to benchmark that. So through the years, we really know exactly how a human should be performing. We also offer incentives to the people in order for them to do the right claims and at the same time the most valuable claims. And it was quite interesting because up until quite recently, as you can understand, because of the TikTokization of things, everything needs to be short. So even
Yeah,
YouTube.
word TikTokization.
Yes. Yes, yes. So everything needs to be quick and fast to consume. All right. So even YouTube transitioned into making, YouTube Shorts. So YouTube Shorts is quite easy to understand because it's like a 30-second, 1 minute video that you listen to. If there's music, you decide whether to claim it or not. Whereas a long form video on YouTube, like a 10-minute or a 20-minute or a half an hour episode of a YouTuber, of a content creator, it's quite difficult to sit down, listen to the whole video, and understand if you can claim it or not, because at that exact minute, my customer's music was being played. So it requires a balance, and it was a quite interesting exercise for us. At the same time, this is how we're progressing as a company.
This is good. Let's shift again. I want to go over to talk a little bit about how you're progressing as a company, but from the frame of leadership. Tell me a little bit about how you help your team to stay on the creative edge, how you manage collaboration that leads to innovation. And I want you to be decision forward here, right? How do you go? What kinds of decisions are you making every day to do that?
Okay, it's quite interesting because a couple of weeks ago we had our global management offsite here in Athens. So all our senior leadership and director above level from various parts of the world were in Athens. So it was like around 40 people in a room where we decided about the business updates, but this year it was quite interesting because our people and culture department decided to offer a workshop for us. So that workshop was Radical Candor. And we basically got some training in order to be able to support our team, provide feedback, at the same time care person for that person, but also challenge that person because um, the only way to move forward is to become better and better. And if everybody says yes, in most cases, you will not be able to evolve as a professional and as a human being. It was quite interesting, and now we will be deploying this across the whole organization to all levels. But I think this is something that our leadership team decided to do in order to have transparency within the organization, to show that whoever is here needs to care about each other, needs to care about performing well. And at the same time, the leaders need to do that to their teams. Personally, I'm a leader that relies a lot on my team members. I always try to give them space to show their work. I always grab any opportunity that they can present their work, because at the same time, you can only become confident of your work and proud of your work only if you show it and get the appraisal, let's say, the awareness that you deserve. I'm quite fortunate to have a lot of high performers in my team, and I'm quite thankful for that
Yeah, I
because,
like the team because they're awesome, it sounds like. So that's a good thing. Yeah.
yes, they are. They are. They are. Every single one of them. And the reason why I bring good results to the company, it's because of them.
Okay, so I have this very fun exercise that I like to take folks through. And the idea is for us to identify your decision making persona. So I'm going to read some questions, and you're going to go, what percentage of me identifies with how that question is asked? And that question is asked from a persona. I'll tell you what the persona is after you answer the question. Your whole self makes up 100% of these decision-making personas. So
Okay.
I'll go and then I'll say how much of this resonates with you, and
I
you'll
think
tell me.
Tisha, I
Yes.
think Tisha, we could make it more interesting.
Okay.
I think you could guess the persona before I answer, and we can cross check if the result is similar to my answers.
Only challenge with that is the way the questions are written is the question is written where you don't necessarily know the persona, but I do.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. So let's try it. And
So you guess the persona before I give any answer, and then when I give the answers, let's see if you write with the persona. That
okay. Well, after I say this question, then maybe you'll see where I'm going.
yes.
So here's the question. And the idea is, do you identify with asking questions this way? Okay, that's what you're doing. We're considering a new business opportunity. How are we going to ensure it aligns with Orpheum's core values and enhance relationships with our stakeholders? Is that how you ask questions? How much of you ask questions like that? Anywhere between 0 to 100%.
Well, I think, and I have 100% in total. So how many questions are there?
4 questions and you get 100% total.
I'll give that 10%.
Okay, so that is called a feeler. That's a feeler, someone driven by their gut. That's the role there. Okay, here's the next question. Okay, if I reflect on last year's market research and the initiatives we did, I'm trying to look at what specific trends or insights we've uncovered that significantly influence our next strategic move. How much of you ask questions like that?
That would be a lot more, 35%.
35%. Okay. That is called a planner. That's a planner persona. Okay. Here's your next one. Now that we're evaluating our past opportunities, I want to know what key lessons we've learned that have fundamentally changed our decision making process.
That's definitely 30%.
30%. Okay. And then your very last question is, as we formulate this new business strategy, what specific data points are we going to rely on to validate our decisions?
Yes. So I will use the rest 25.
That is called the data driver. So the one before was called the counter. So you are 10% feeler, 35% planner, 30% counter, and 25% data driver. So it's a good balance. The idea behind this is at some point you get to a super balanced decision making lens. We find that the more experience people get, they tend to, when they feel like they're heavy in the experience front, they tend to be more feeler. But I think that there's a personality bit in there too. Depends
Yes.
on kind of how folks are. There's no right or wrong answers to this. It's all about just really being transparent. And it's a good thing to take to your team to kind of share how you look at your decisions how much of you lands in which bucket, because then it can help them to prepare what they bring your way. So it's just a little fun way to go. So you're a 10% feeler, 35% planner, 30% counter, 25% data driver. All right. Thank you so much for doing that exercise. I have one more question for you before we wrap up. And in this question, think about your industry today. And if you were talking to other leaders in your industry, what's the top decision that you believe they ought to be prepared to make in the next 3 months?
I think the most, let's say, hot topic of discussion these days is AI. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people can understand why music has been affected by AI, and especially Gen AI, because now with those Gen AI engines like Suno and other companies, you can create a music work in like 30 seconds that it's okay. So I think in the music industry, I think it would be useful to come together and discuss AI openly in order to educate and at the same time protect the copyright owners. So this is quite scary for a lot of people. Either they're small independent artists or even major music publishers and record labels. Be honest, the more copyright you own, the more fearful you should be now with the current state. But I'm pretty confident that, as we've seen in the past with many other technological advances, like, for example, the music industry managed to survive even through the peer to peer era, where everybody could download any music they wanted without paying anything. And then, Spotify came. So I'm pretty sure, even with, risks and threats, we as business leaders need to have that in mind and try to see what's the best way to protect the industry, to advance the industry. And I'm not saying, to stop technology, because you cannot stop technology, obviously. So I think it should be important for us to be educated on how AI works and how we can use AI to benefit the music industry. And at the same time, perhaps suggest a framework in order to protect actual music copyright owners, for them to continue doing what they're doing very, very well, producing nice, high quality music.
This is a great point. So fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your perspective. What I got out of that was, in your industry, trust building, super important, having open conversations, educating, protecting, and then, of course, continuing to advance so that you can continue to build successful companies within the music industry. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. Sakis, can you tell everybody where to find more about Orpheum, where to find more about you, how to connect with you?
Yes, you can visit our website, orpheum.com, for any kind of solutions for your copyright management. As I mentioned earlier, we do that for all the big digital platforms like YouTube, Meta, TikTok. And at the same time, through our new division, the OME, Orpheum Media and Entertainment, we do that for the TV broadcasters, radio stations, and even production studios for films, TV series, and everything. So we're all about music. So we want to know where music is played and when and how, in order to help our customers get paid in a fair and transparent way. I'm more than happy to talk to anyone, either that's about music or about technology, those or startups. Those are my three main passions, let's say. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can look me up either through Orpheum or just my name, Sakis. And I'm more than happy to connect and schedule a call and listen to what you're working on.
Thank you so much. And thank you for giving back in that way, especially as startup founders. A lot of times you need that help and expertise, especially when you've already seen success on a lot of levels. So thank you so much again. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Remember, the best decisions do come from great conversations. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe, rate it, share it with your network. Let's keep on having more conversations. Hashtag Dynamic Decisions Podcast. And until next time, keep questioning, keep growing, and keep leading with purpose.